take a closer look at the darker side of human interaction with robots.
Alright, where do you want this? Mother... Ow! What the Kevin?
It's not uncommon to hear about humans assaulting robots, even though they're designed to help us. In this video, we'll take a look at 11 instances where robots were assaulted by humans.
Ah! Damn it, that...
Some of these cases are quite shocking, and they raise important questions about our relationship with technology.
Bad Cleo. Get on.
He's not doing anything.
You didn't like it?
Are we becoming too reliant on robots, or are we simply failing to recognize their value and treating them like disposable objects?
Move on. Oh!
As robots become more integrated into our lives, it's crucial that we reflect on our attitudes towards them.
Can you get up?
Yeah, this is good. This is a good test. Oh.
We must remember that behind every robot there is a team of engineers and designers who have worked very hard to create them.
Alright, okay. Alright, Gretzky over here.
By assaulting robots, we're not only damaging physical objects, but we're also disregarding the hard work and dedication of those who created them. It's important to consider how we can use robots to enhance our lives, rather than using them as punching bags. As we move forward with new technologies, let's remember to treat them with the respect they deserve.
See you later, Kevin! See you tomorrow, face!
During a 2016 match in France, fans from both countries ended the event in a bloody brawl. So a robot was created to protect the fans at the FIFA World Cup and make them feel more secure. The friendly robot is named Elantim. Elantim speaks both English and Russian and helps with information, directions, and even tries to entertain. The robot is able to contact police instantly, but its most advanced feature is an ability to predict conflicts from the surrounding crowd before a situation escalates. But before the robot could fulfill its purpose, a man viciously charged Elantim with a baseball bat, then he kicked it to the ground and bashed in its head while the robot pleaded for help.
Не мое.
А что ты снимаешь? Пошел нахуй отсюда, урод.
Соблюдайте правила дорожного движения. Вы поступаете...
Какая опасная барна!
Помогите.
Sadly, Elantim could not be revived after the attack, and the incident prompted Olga Budnik, a spokesperson for the Muscovite tech hub, to create the world's first robot cemetery. She didn't want to simply plop the robot parts into the trash bin, so she made a space for people to be able to say goodbye. A hitchhiking robot is found dismembered. The Hitchbot was a child-sized robot with a bucket-shaped body, yellow boots, blue foam limbs, and a charming LED smiley face. It was created for an interesting psychological test, not for the robot, but for the humans that encountered it. Hitchbot's goal was to see whether robots could trust humans. It wasn't capable of moving from place to place on its own, so it relied on the help of the strangers it met. The robot's audio and visual hardware allowed it to see humans and talk with them. It also had a sense of where it was at all times and constantly took photos of its surroundings. This little dude was an international adventurer and social media star where it successfully hitchhiked across Canada in less than 4 weeks and also journeyed through Germany and the Netherlands without a scrape. It spent a week as a groupie for a heavy metal band and explored the winding canals of Amsterdam. Its next stop was in the United States. However, it didn't go so well. Hitchbot was a mere 1-year-old when it was mugged in the city of brotherly love and beat up beyond repair. Vandals tore off its arms and threw them on the ground and started kicking the robot. The identity of the attacker could not be identified, but the creators released a statement simply asking the world, what can be learned from this? According to a recent survey of men, 40% wanted to buy a sex robot in the next 5 years. Some experts suggest that the popularity of interactive sex robots may reduce or even replace traditional prostitution and thereby decrease sex trafficking as well. Brothels with this new class of robotic sex workers have already opened in countries like Spain and Ireland. It's an industry with a lot of potential to bring in some serious money, and that's why there's so much effort toward making these sex robots look and act realistically. At the Arts Electronics Festival in Austria, Sergey Santos unveiled his doll Samantha. This doll is intelligent in that it can reply when spoken to, and it even moans when touched in sensitive places. Santos's robot, which was worth almost $4,000, was molested at the show. Santos said the people mounted Samantha's breast, her legs, and arms, with 2 fingers even being broken. He referred to the perpetrators as barbarians in his outrage over his creation being trashed by these non-paying vandals. Even self-driving cars are being abused in all kinds of bizarre ways. In Chandler, Arizona, 21 incidents of this type of harassment has been documented by the police department in just 2 years. Some are engaging in verbal abuse, throwing rocks, slashing tires, or chasing these cars down the road. Clearly, some individuals do not want these cars driving for them, and perhaps by attacking them, they believe they are standing up for the human race. Arguably, the most shocking of these incidents was when 69-year-old Roy Haselton was standing on the side of the road as a self-driving car rolled by. His immediate reaction to the autonomous vehicle was to pull out his gun and point it directly at the van. 1 week later, he was arrested, and his .22 caliber revolver was confiscated, and then he was indicted on a felony charge for disorderly conduct with a weapon after the video was captured on the van's security camera. Children abuse robots too. As children are helpless in so many ways, they get a frantic thrill from being in control, and it turns out that this even includes an urge for violence against robots. This desire for dominance is a drawback in places such as schools, hospitals, museums, and shops where robots will need to interact with children in the near future. So, scientists and psychologists are working together to create a robot that children don't want to beat up. With this in mind, researchers in Japan conducted a social experiment in a shopping mall by observing the children with a human-sized robot, and when the children became aggressive, the robot responded with a negative physical contact in a human-like manner. Still, they continued bullying the robot. With a bit of laughter, the researchers observed serious abusive behaviors with physical contact such as kicking, punching, beating and folding the arms and bending the joints of the robot. Some children obstructed the robot's path regardless of the robot's request for the children to stop the obstruction, then covered the robot's eyes with their hands and beat the robot's head. The researchers interviewed 23 children, all under the age of 10, who had just abused the robot. Curiosity, enjoyment, and peer pressure were the biggest motivators, but the researchers discovered something quite upsetting about the kids' perception of the robot. The majority of the children did perceive the robot as human-like, while only 13% saw it as a machine. This means that they recognized that the robot seemed to be experiencing pain and stress, but they didn't care. They were in control and just having a blast. In San Francisco, the Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals was using a 400-pound K5 security robot to patrol the streets around their campus in an effort to prevent the homeless from sleeping or loitering around the area. The SPCA believed that the robot was reducing crime and potentially the needles they had been finding around the campus from the addicts who were shooting up with drugs. However, the K5 angered a lot of people who felt that this was an unfair attack on the homeless, and the robot was knocked over, covered with a tarp, and had its sensors blinded with barbecue sauce. Some even smeared feces all over it, and as of 2019, hiring a robot for this job appeared to be more cost-effective at about $6 to $12 an hour than the minimum wage of $15 per hour for a human in San Francisco. A robot built to withstand a fight. Engineers are racing to see who can create the toughest robot that can really take a beating, which would be in the high demand for the military. In Tokyo, the robust humanoid robot, also known as RHP-2, was built to take some serious punishment. It's a human-sized bipedal robot that is run by electric motors. This robot is unique because it will always stand up again no matter how often it is knocked down. Like Rocky said, it ain't about how hard you hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. So once knocked down, the robot pulls itself up again every time, hopefully just like a human. There's a lot of expensive damage that can happen to a robot when it topples over, so just like a cat has the instinct to right itself during a fall, RHP-2 has been programmed to fall in a specific position, and it's built with a metal frame to protect its internal parts. If you thought Wall-E was the cutest robot around, then you obviously haven't met Pepper. It is a human size but a little on the shorter side, with a mermaid fin for a leg. It's also programmed to understand and respond to human emotions. A tablet attached to the midsection is even used to demonstrate how it's feeling. This robot sold out in just under 1 minute. However, some seem to be immune to the robot's charm. While shopping in a SoftBank Corporation store, a drunk customer kicked and beat Pepper in a rage of anger. This particular pepper clone moves a little slower these days, but it's otherwise alright. Pleo the dinosaur is a lovable toy-like robot that was created to be both beaten and cuddled in psychological experiments to test human empathy for robots. A workshop presented Pleo as a play toy at first, and people quickly grew to adore his trusting eyes and endearing noises as he learned to move around the table. When Pleo is first pulled from the box, it can't walk or do anything, and its caretaker teaches it about the world while playing with it and giving it some hugs and things of that nature. After an hour of innocent bonding with Pleo, the participants were asked to torture and kill him. Weapons were spread out on the table, including knives, hammers, and hatchets. Kate Darling is ironically the name of the robot scholar who conducted these studies. The workshop mentioned above was just for fun apparently, and the actual science involved people watching videos while their bodily reactions were monitored. The result of the workshop was even more dramatic than Darling had anticipated. It's not the same as taking a broken printer from work and beating it up with a baseball bat, because we're talking about a new kind of machine, the social robot. It's meant to invoke your empathy, so it's no wonder that people couldn't harm it despite their logical brains telling them that it wasn't just a simple robot. One participant stood with a hammer raised, frozen mid-swing, and eventually they decided to pet Pleo instead. Then Darling told them that they could save their dinosaurs by killing someone else's, but still, nobody moved a muscle. Eventually, she announced that one Pleo had to be sacrificed or all the robots would be slaughtered. And that's when one man grabbed a hatchet and gave a single fatal blow to one of the dinosaurs. The room fell silent and everyone was surprised by the man's actions. Without even getting to know the robot's endearing side, it's still almost too much to handle. I'm curious how you would react, so tell me down in the comments. Boston Dynamics, an American engineering and robotics design company, released a video that unexpectedly stirred people's emotions. It showed employees repeatedly kicking a dog robot that they named Spot. It was supposed to demonstrate the robot's resilience and balance, but the viewers saw it as cruel. PETA even jumped on the bandwagon by releasing a statement that said most reasonable people find the idea of such violence inappropriate. Even Elon Musk chimed in and said that it's probably unwise to kick a robot and that their memory is very good. This video sparked a lot of interesting discussion about robot abuse. Is kicking a robot like Spot desensitizing people to violence and making them more likely to practice abuse in real life? Or is it a useful outlet that may divert such cruelty or behavior? Another video goes on to show another one of their robots called Atlas that is being bullied by a human handler using a hockey stick to push Atlas off balance. The robot stumbles backwards but catches itself before regaining its balance. Next, an employee pushes Atlas down from behind, but the robot, lying flat on its robotic face, is able to push itself up without help from a human. Some commentators on the video expressed outrage at the guy pushing the robot with a hockey stick, with some saying they felt sad for the robot and others calling the guy a bully and even suggesting that maybe with a grin that he will be blamed for any robot uprisings. It's possible the guy who kicks the robot will be fully responsible for the forthcoming robot-human wars. What do you think? Thanks for watching.